Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get you well-informed fast.
That's the plan.
And today we're doing something really quite unique.
Definitely different.
We're diving into parts of an interview with, one of the world's longest-serving leaders, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel.
Right. But the platform, it was the Full Send podcast.
Exactly. Not your typical news channel, is it?
Not at all. And that's kind of why we're digging into it. Our mission here is really to unpack the key insights from this, let's say, unconventional chat.
Yeah, give you a shortcut to understanding some complex stuff, geopolitical realities, personal viewpoints, straight from him.
So let's set the scene a bit. The interviewers, they were pretty upfront, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. They basically said, look, we're so not qualified for this.
Right. And their goal was just ask them what we want to ask them.
Which is, a world away from a standard news interview.
Absolutely. And maybe that unfiltered style is what led to some, surprisingly candid moments.
And the setting itself, Blair House, the official U.S. guest house, that adds a certain weight to it all.
It definitely does. And what comes through straight away is his, historical perspective. This is someone who's been in office a long, long time.
He mentioned meeting quite a few of the American presidents, gives him a pretty unique vantage point on U.S.-Israel relations over decades.
Decades, exactly.
And speaking of presidents, that relationship with Donald Trump, it really came up.
Oh, yeah. He described it as never been a friend like Donald Trump in the White House for Israel. He even embraced that bromance label.
Mentioned knowing him for ages, decades even, before either was president.
And it wasn't just politics. He shared some personal stuff, like Trump being very funny, especially off camera.
Right. And his wife, Sarah Netanyahu, is a psychologist. Her take was that Trump is a good person, he has a good heart, he wants to do good.
Which is, a pretty interesting professional assessment woven into that political relationship. Yeah. It suggests a value placed on perceived authenticity.
Yeah, and what seemed really important to Netanyahu about Trump was his directness. That came up again and again.
He really hammered that point home. Cuts to the chase.
Cuts through the BS.
He cuts to the bone. That kind of language.
It suggests he values that straightforward approach, maybe over traditional diplomatic niceties.
Seems like it. And that directness, it contrasts sharply with his relationship with Joe Biden.
Right. He said he's known Biden for nearly 40 years, called it a friendship, but also
acknowledged severe disagreements had developed, which really highlights how complex these long-term international ties can be.
And those disagreements, they seemed particularly sharp during the Obama years, didn't they? Especially over Iran.
Definitely. He was blunt. Said Obama had ideas that I didn't always share, to put it mildly, specifically about the Iran nuclear deal.
He believes that deal paved their way with gold to a nuclear arsenal, basically handed Iran a path to the bomb.
That was his firm conviction. Now, it's important for, our listeners to remember, the other side argued the deal was the best way to prevent that, through inspections and rollback.
Of course. But for Netanyahu, the risk was too great. So great, he felt the fate of my country was at stake.
Which led him to do something extraordinary.
Yeah. Going to the U.S. Congress in 2015 to speak against the sitting president's policy, that was unprecedented.
Truly a remarkable moment, showing just how deeply he felt about it.
So after touching on these really personal dynamics shaping policy, he shifted gears, talked about fighting misconceptions about it.
Right. He seems genuinely worried about the wrong picture of Israel getting out there, especially among younger Americans.
He put it down to vilification, demonization, and just plain lies.
Yeah, he feels Israel's policies, its values, are often twisted maybe through social media, selective information.
And his solution is simple. The only way you can fight lies is with the truth.
So he pushed back hard on the idea Israel isn't an open society.
Highlighted Tel Aviv, called it one of the most open, liberal-minded city on earth.
And then drew a really stark contrast with Iran, pointing to the regime hanging gay people, shooting women for showing hair, fundamental value differences.
He even told that story, that almost cinematic anecdote.
The Israeli woman pilot.
Yeah, flying over Tehran, attacking the regime, and him seeing it as, helping liberate Iran from the government that oppresses its women.
It's a powerful image he paints.
And then, to tackle what he sees as absurd arguments, he used these incredibly blunt analogies, very provocative.
Like gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC.
And talking about women for the women of Gaza when, in his view, they're completely subjugated by their ruling power.
His point, clearly, was to highlight a contradiction, people supporting groups that oppress the very people they claim to champion. But yeah, very polarizing language.
Definitely gets a reaction. He also linked some anti-Israel protests directly to anti-American feelings.
Pointed out some protesters burn American flags.
And then listed Iran's actions against the U.S. assassination attempts on Trump, bounties on his and Netanyahu's head, killing U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, embassy bomb.
The Beirut barracks bombing in '83.
Right. He's drawing a very clear line. Shared enemy, shared threat.
Okay, so turning to the Gaza conflict itself, he addressed claims about Israel, killing babies or starving.
His explanation centers on Hamas tactic. He says they embed themselves in the civilian population,
which, in a place as densely populated as Gaza, makes civilian casualties tragically difficult to avoid, even with precautions.
He talked about Israel's efforts calls, millions of leaflets warning civilians to leave war zones.
But then claimed Hamas actively stops them, even shoots people trying to flee.
Why? Because in his words, they want to have civilian casualties for propaganda, a grim calculation.
He believes Hamas uses its own people as shields to win the narrative war.
So his message to ordinary Palestinians?
Very direct. Get rid of Hamas. He argues Hamas torments and oppresses them, denies basic rights, especially to women and gay people.
He frames Hamas as the real enemy of the Palestinian people.
And he noted something he called unimaginable starting to happen.
Palestinians rising up.
Yeah, actually fighting Hamas, particularly as Hamas weakens. He mentioned actual gun battles between Palestinians and Hamas fighters. That suggests a potential shift.
Interesting. He also mentioned Trump's idea, which he supports.
About Gazans having a choice.
Yeah, the choice if they want to leave for other countries, because Hamas is locking them in hell, as he put it, a sort of humanitarian escape valve.
Controversial, but framed as giving people an option they currently lack.
Of course, the interview also had to touch on October 7th, 2023. He called the events horrible.
Described the Hamas attack in stark terms, crossing the fence, butchering communities, the music festival massacre,
shooting children, babies, Holocaust survivors, taking 255 hostages.
Just brutal details. He did acknowledge the ongoing investigation into the delayed response that day.
And repeated his commitment to get all remaining hostages back, dead or alive. It's clearly a deep wound and an ongoing mission.
Absolutely. Then, zooming out to the regional picture again, he used that powerful metaphor for Iran.
The two lumps of cancer.
Right. First, the nuclear threat potentially having atomic bombs within a year, by his estimate.
And second, the ballistic missiles, likening it to 20,000 one-ton bombs hitting Israel, a country the size of New Jersey, paints a terrifying picture.
An existential threat as he sees it.
And he gave Trump credit for taking decisive action against the nuclear program.
Specifically authorizing a strike that he says destroyed the nuclear program, or at least pushed it away for many years.
Emphasized it was done by very brave and persistent pilots.
And crucially, resulted in not a single American casualty, and by the way, not a single Israeli casualty.
He even gave the operation a name, Rising Lion, from the Bible.
Yeah, referencing rising was faked. And he made a point of saying this disproved the experts.
The ones who predicted World War III or another Vietnam if Trump acted?
Exactly. For him, this was clear validation of taking strong preemptive action against Iran.
Though he doesn't see peace as possible with the current Iranian regime.
No, but he strongly believes it is possible with the Iranian people. He cited figures like 80% of them want to throw these theological thugs out.
He mentioned sending video messages directly to Iranians.
And getting millions and millions and millions of views with people identifying themselves wanting women freedom despite the risk.
It's a key distinction he makes. Regime versus people.
And he brought up history to back it up, reminding people there was peace before 1979.
Direct flights between Tel Aviv and Tehran back then. Hard to imagine now.
Shows how much things changed with the Ayatollahs. It reinforces his idea that the regime is the obstacle.
Which all ties back to that core doctrine he shares with Trump.
Peace through strength.
Right. Strength first, then...
It's more than a catchphrase for him, isn't it? It seems foundational. The idea that military and economic power are preconditions for real peace, especially in that region.
Seems so. Okay, shifting to more personal reflection. He was asked about his greatest accomplishment.
He listed two main things. First, preventing Iran from getting nuclear weapons. He sees that as a decades-long mission done in partnership with Trump, a vital task for Israel's survival.
And the second,
liberating the Israeli economy, transforming it from semi-socialist to a free market.
fostering ingenuity and entrepreneurship, letting people start businesses. He really believes in free markets, free speech, competition, initiative, freedom.
Clear economic philosophy there.
But then the biggest regret, that got quite personal.
Yeah, the impact on his family, the suffering his wife, Sarah, and their 2 sons faced from the slings and arrows of public life, the vilification, he called it.
He admitted neglecting his sons during his first term, a mistake he tried to fix later.
Making things like Friday night Shabbat dinner, no phones, sacred family time. It's a relatable struggle, even for a world leader.
It really humanizes the role, doesn't it? Speaking of humanizing, the hamburger story.
Oh, yeah. Shared taste with Trump from McDonald's, Burger King.
And that funny story about the fancy 7-course White House dinner.
Ending with a dressed-up hamburger that they both apparently loved. Little moments like that.
Yeah, they stick with you. But maybe the most powerful personal stuff came from his military background.
Definitely. 5 years in that special unit, like the Navy SEALs.
He described his first operation landing at Beirut Airport, blowing up hijacked planes.
Yeah, without killing anyone. Incredible precision right from the start. Must shape how you see possibilities.
Absolutely. And then the really tough experiences. A close friend dying in his arms.
That leaves a mark. And the Sabina hijacking story?
Wow.
Just crazy details. Mechanic overalls, pistols and boots, getting frisked.
Quipping, God is great, let me pass through. The team member needing the bathroom mid-op.
And getting accidentally shot by his own security guard. You can't make this stuff up.
These are life-altering moments, clearly.
And he mentioned his brother, Yoni, the hero of Entebbe, who led that unit. That legacy looms large.
So what lessons did he draw from all that?
A few key things: that you can do many things that's seemingly impossible. The importance of living a life of purpose. And that crucial understanding. Life is precious and war is hell.
But sometimes fighting is necessary for survival, bottom line. If you're not prepared to defend freedom, you lose.
A philosophy forged in fire, you could say.
Yeah. He wrapped up the interview on a really upbeat note about Israel today, though.
Describing Tel Aviv as lit, on fire, like Miami.
Yeah, booming stock market, tech scene, free market energy, a vibrant picture.
But he finished with that open invitation to you, the listener.
Come see the truth in Israel. Promise you'll be mesmerized and captivated.
Quite the closing pitch.
So after all that, this deep dive into one leader's perspective through a pretty unusual lens, where does that leave us?
Well, it makes you think, doesn't it? In this world overflowing with information, often conflicting narratives. How do we figure out what's real? Especially when big things like freedom and security are on the...
And what role do these unexpected voices, these different kinds of platforms, play in helping us understand or maybe complicating things further?
Yeah, maybe it pushes us to think about how global politics, the stuff he's talking about, actually connects to our own lives, our own freedoms.
And maybe prompts a closer look at concepts like peace through strength or the deep history that shapes these modern conflicts. There's always more beneath the surface, right?
Always more to explore.